What do you think MLK or any of the great leaders of the past would think about today? How proud would they be of the progress we made? Would they still feel like there was more left to be done? What lessons, wisdom, and guidance would they want us to take from all of the hard work and sacrifice that they laid down before us? Would he feel vindicated, knowing for a fact that his actions weren't done in vain? Or might he feel something else? Would he question if it was worth it? Could he feel a bit disappointed, knowing that we haven't truly honored everything that he and so many before us have sacrificed to get us here? What exactly would he want us to know? What wisdom would he want us to take? What lessons would he need us to learn? And how can we use them in today's day and age? And so today I want to talk about the idea of lessons from MLK. What we can learn from him, what would he say and think if he could see where we are today, and how could we honor his legacy through action? Because it's one thing to talk about it. It's one thing to take a random Monday off once a year. It's another thing to do something. It's another thing entirely to live up to the creed and character that he knew we were capable of. This is the infinite evolution. One of the first things I would imagine he would tell us about is the beauty and power of freedom, and just how blessed we are to have so much of it. So often we take for granted the liberties and opportunities that we've been blessed with, but you don't have to go too far back in history to find a time where somebody was being oppressed, where somebody was being held back. It's even happening today. How far do you have to go back in history to find a time where not everyone was able to vote? Not everyone was able to read and learn. Not everyone was able to chase their dreams and live up to who they truly wanted to become. There was and is a time in this country where so many people were prevented from living up to what they were truly capable of. But if that isn't you, and you have every opportunity to go out there and go get it, you better make it happen. We gotta honor those who fought and sacrificed. I speak often about gratitude and the power that comes with it. But what about the gratitude for being born in a place and time where you're able to achieve? If you're one of the lucky few, not just today, but from all of history, when you are born free with the ability to learn and pursue an education, to chase your dreams, to vote. There's so many rights and privileges that we all have today, but we often take for granted. And it wasn't that long ago that you weren't allowed to chase your dreams, that you weren't allowed to vote, that you weren't allowed to speak up, that you weren't allowed to express yourself and be who you truly were. If you have that freedom now, even if it isn't perfect, you need to make sure you pick up the ball and honor what the ancestors have done to lay the path before us. Somebody didn't get this opportunity. There's somebody throughout the course of history who would love to be where you are right now. It may not be perfect, it may not be ideal, but if you still got that light in your eyes, if you still got breath in your lungs, you still have a chance to go and get it. Be grateful for the opportunities you have, even if they're not perfect, even if it feels like you're not where you want to be compared to 50, 60 years ago, compared to 100 years ago. You have a chance to do something that nobody else has done. You have a chance to break generational curses if you decide to do it. You have a chance to rewrite history if you decide to take it. But how many people will? How many people truly understand the sacrifice it would take to know that I'm fighting for something and I may never see the results of it? When you know that somebody came before you and gave it their all so that you can have a chance to be free, how dare you not honor it? Get up. Get active and live up to the best you could be. I would imagine he would tell us about the power of one man, the faith of one mustard seed, but how much more powerful we could become if we work together. But if that one man can be taken away and the power and impact of that movement is greatly reduced, you have a problem. As important as it is to start with yourself, as important as it is that you step up and you become the change that you want to see, it's that much more important that we unite and we strengthen ourselves through community. And so if one person can make a difference and one moment can change a life, imagine what hundreds of thousands of millions could do if we're all working together. As powerful and amazing as Dr. King was, imagine if there was more than one of him. It's one thing to know that one of the greatest leaders of our time was taken away far too soon. That's a problem. But you multiply the problem and make it that much worse when you don't have people in place who are ready to pick up the torch and keep running that race. The progress since the great and powerful Dr. King left us has been immense, but has it been enough? Because as great and powerful as Dr. King was, imagine if there were hundreds of thousands of others who were thinking just like him, who would stand for justice just like him, who would not compromise just like him, who knew that they would be tested just like him. Decades have passed since the great Dr. King was taken from us far too soon, and it's undeniable the amount of progress that's been left as a result of his legacy. But has it been enough? Have we done enough with all of the sacrifice and groundwork that was laid before us? Truth is, it's never enough. The truth is, the fight for justice, the battle for equality and equity is really never going to be over. So we must continue to fight. In the words of the great Nipsey Hussle, the marathon continues. Certainly, there has been undeniable progress that has been made. But has it been enough? Have we taken the torch and ran with it like we knew we should have when we had the opportunity? Or did we fumble a little bit? Did we trip a little bit? And if we did, Is it too late to come back? I'm sure Dr. King will remind us about the power of the written word. There is something special about words being written in text, something timeless that'll never be taken away. Many of the answers to our greatest problems could be found in text if we would simply choose to open up a book and read. As powerful as that dream that Dr. King so beautifully laid out was, what we actually needed was a plan. And to be clear, Dr. King wrote several books where he laid out specifically what we needed to do as a people in order to rise up and elevate it. He had a plan. The problem is you never hear about it, which makes you wonder, what if the dream speech was never a speech to begin with? What if it was simply a written text? If you never heard the speech where he spoke about the dream, would we even know about it? This is why we must embrace knowledge and wisdom, learning and strengthening our brain power, fortifying and strengthening our minds so that we're as sharp and focused as possible. And it certainly can't be accidental that we hear so much about the dream, but never about the plan. The plan was written, the dream was spoken. Which one do you hear about more? Which one is more realistic? If a person is serious about getting something done, do they come up with a dream or do they have a plan? But that wasn't everything. It was only a small part of all of what his ideas were. They don't tell you about the plans or the blueprints, so you don't know about them. How can you build greatness if you never get to see the blueprint? He wrote books outlining what it would take, actions, mindset, everything you could possibly think of. And if at this point you haven't heard about it, you probably never will unless you choose to seek that knowledge and information. And since we know that most people are never going to crack open that book, are never going to go and do the deep dive to find out what the plan was, maybe we got to try something different. Maybe we got to speak it to them. Maybe we got to say it to them. Maybe you got to speak life into them, courage into them in such a way that they want to become their best self. That even if they haven't started from a foundation of reading, they're willing to grow and elevate themselves into a position where they now can embrace it. They're learning new things. Their mind is sharp. Their focus is steady. They're willing to be consistent. They're dedicated to a plan. They're unwavering in their discipline. This is the infinite evolution. Next up, he would have to remind us, you will be tested. You will be targeted. The more you pursue greatness, the more you pursue justice, the more you try and do what's right, the people who are wrong will try to bring you down. The more you try and elevate and help people up, there's going to be somebody who's nipping at those heels who want to see you fail. What will you choose? What will you give them? What will you show them as your weakness? Stand for something bigger than you so that when your story is told, we're not just talking about dreams, they're talking about how you made it into a reality. If you constantly reveal chinks in the armor, that you're not willing to be disciplined, that you can be affected, that I can influence you in ways that you shouldn't be able to, it's going to be real easy to stop that movement, especially if the movement is led and driven by one single person. But what if you had a whole team of people, a whole community of people who had it in their minds that we simply won't fail, we will not falter, we will not compromise, and this is the way we're going to do it. We know we're going to be targeted, so we'll be prepared. We know they're coming after us, so we'll be ready. Our weakest link will actually be our strongest. The place where they want to attack us will be the worst decision they ever made. Why? Because we know it's coming. When you can anticipate, you can dominate. If you know for a fact they're coming for you, you can be ready. Those tests and temptation will come from all directions. They'll come when you're at your highest. They'll come when you're at your lowest. You'll be tested when you're weak. You'll be tested when you're exhausted, but you'll also be tested when you're up. You'll be tested when you have the money and you have the fame and you have the acclaim. What do you do with it? It's one thing to start from the bottom and have nothing, but when you have the power and the riches and you can do anything you want, what do you do then? That's when your real character shines through. That's when we find out what you're really made of. That should be when they find out that tempting you won't work. If your enemy sees that even at your lowest, you can't be distracted, you can't be tempted, who can stop you? What does that do to their psyche? What does it do to their confidence? What does it do to their ability to keep pushing on? Well, what better time to remind them that you can't be tempted than in your weakest moment? He will remind us that not every single test or temptation will be something massive or obvious. Sometimes you'll be tested with being lukewarm, because being lukewarm does compromise your integrity. You know you should speak up, but you don't want to rock the boat. You know that it's time to be heard, but you don't want to make waves. Not standing firm on what you know is right will make you go left every single time. Will you choose to stand up for what's right even when it isn't easy, or will you choose safety and comfort and not taking the risk even when you know it's the right thing to do? Oftentimes the money, success, fame, or acclaim that comes with being lukewarm isn't worth it. It isn't worth your integrity. And as soon as you achieve or receive the thing, it won't even feel right. You won't even be able to enjoy it because you compromise your integrity to get it. And once again, it's not just you who's going to be tested. It's going to be your whole team. If the people of your community are fibers to a much stronger fabric, it becomes that much more important to make sure that all of them are supported. It becomes that much more important to make sure that all of them are smart, educated, sharp, disciplined, are aware of the pitfalls that are coming. One of the best ways to attack somebody is from within. If the people who are against you, if the people who are standing up for what's wrong know for a fact, all I gotta do is attack their right hand man. All I gotta do is get close to somebody in his inner circle. That might be all it takes in order to plant the seed. A seed of doubt is enough to plant a garden full of misery. One little drop of anger or jealousy or temptation or not being able to be disciplined when you need it is enough to bring down the whole empire if you allow it to. The enemy often loves to attack from within. It's the idea of pulling one single thread but unraveling the whole sweater. And even beyond that, the leader of the movement can't be the only person who represents it well. If the only person worth listening to or respecting is the person at the top becomes an idol. The person at the top becomes a target. The person at the top starts to lose themselves mentally because they have no one to challenge them or bounce ideas off of. You need a team and a community so that you don't have to go at it alone. Solo, you're strong, but with a team, you are powerful, almost indestructible. But how strong will you build your team? Everyone is prepared. No one can be a downfall. You don't have a weakest link, which makes you so much stronger. Family and community have never been more important. Embrace it and watch how much further you're able to go. You can be a powerful force for good when you're by yourself, but with a family and community that's smart, alert, dedicated, disciplined, uncompromising in their integrity, imagine how much more you could accomplish. He would also remind us that unless you're talking about the person in the mirror, nobody is coming to save you. You got to get up, you got to get active, and you got to be the one to make the change happen if it's ever to occur. We need each other, and we are best in community where we can support, love, nurture, and help each other become our best. He would also remind us that for sure, you're going to make mistakes sometimes. Sometimes you're going to fall to the temptation. Sometimes you're going to stumble and make errors, and oftentimes you won't be able to get those moments back. So not only do we need to arm ourselves with the wisdom and discernment it'll take in order to be successful, we also got to arm ourselves with the right state of mind. We're going to take some L's, we're going to experience some bumps and bruises, but how do we choose to bounce back? Tragedy is coming. Failure is inevitable. How will you choose to respond to it? Because even in the worst situations, when everything seems hopeless and you cannot win, there's a lesson to be learned. And imagine going through everything you went through and taking nothing from it. Maybe the narrative that you've been telling yourself is not 100% accurate. Maybe you're not who you think you are. Maybe you're the person who's going through it so that you can help somebody else, so that you can tell somebody in the future who is the one. Maybe you're the person who helps the person who helps the person. Maybe you're the person that helps the next person build the foundation. Maybe you're just a brick in a much larger, more beautiful and powerful structure than you ever could have imagined. You take the risk of being the cog that brings the entire structure down, all because you were unwilling to be the powerful brick that you were meant to be. Maybe the legacy you leave and the legend that they speak of when they refer to you, maybe it's even bigger than you ever thought was possible. Maybe you're thinking small when God and the universe is thinking so much bigger. Your mindset is a choice. You get to decide if you choose freedom through discipline or chaos through comfort. He would also remind us to embrace the fact that you are more capable, powerful, influential, and free than almost any point in time in history. The opportunities currently present at your fingertips are immense, but what will you do with them? However, just because the opportunities at your fingertip are immense doesn't mean you'll take advantage of them. In fact, most people won't. Most people are fumbling their time. Most people are not taking advantage of everything they could, and most people will look back on life with regret. Will you be one, or will you lock in and live up to who you could be? This is the infinite evolution. Time is so precious, and we never know just how much time we truly have left, either for ourselves or our loved ones, for the goals we want to accomplish for ourselves, or for the change we want to see take place in this world. So you got to be driven by urgency, knowing that you may never get this chance again. Because if you are disciplined and intentional, purposeful, driven, and unwilling to compromise, you'll be able to look back when all is said and done with a smile, knowing that you gave it everything you got. You weren't perfect, you made mistakes, you certainly had flaws, you performed up to your abilities, you did what you needed to, and that's a different type of feeling. How many people, when it's all said and done, get to look back with zero regrets, get to reflect on their lives, and know for a fact, I squeezed all the juice out I could. I left no stone unturned. Imagine that level of peace. Imagine the peace and satisfaction that comes with knowing I gave it my all. When I was tapped on the shoulder by destiny, I wasn't afraid. I locked in, stepped up, and did what I was supposed to do. This is the infinite evolution. Therefore, we embrace the beautiful gift that is the present with the action and intensity that it so properly deserves. Don't underestimate how precious this moment is. Don't overestimate how much time you have left. Some people get more done in 20 years than others do in 50. Some people wait until they're 50 to get started, and for the next 20 years, that's when they make the biggest impact. Your future is still being written, and the present is the powerful pen, the tool that you'll use to keep writing lines in the play of your life. Your mindset is a choice. Choose freedom through discipline instead of chaos through comfort. This is the infinite evolution. The dream was a beautiful start, but maybe it's time to evolve. Maybe it's time to update, and maybe it's time that we honor the sacrifices and struggles of those who came before us. Maybe it's time for an update. Maybe it's time for the dream to turn into a plan. Maybe it's time for the movement not to be led by a man, but by a multitude of masses. Maybe when you're fueled by family, the fire will be unstoppable. Maybe once we understand that alone, each and every one of us may only represent a brick, we can build a system that is beautiful, knowing that the foundation is as important as the finishing touches. When hearts and minds are charged up in the best way possible. And there isn't just one leader, but there are masses of them. Who can stop it? So be wise but active. Be the light but also be the storm. Stand for something bigger than you and show the world just how great you could truly become. Stand for something bigger than you and watch how much it pays us all back. Stand for something bigger than you and watch just how quickly those dreams turn into a reality. This is the infinite evolution.